Shane, Shane.
Vic, you have any questions?
No, not right now.
David? Dennis?
Well, Kelly, do you want to go through your sheet here?
I can. I mean, I think we've touched on a lot of these, but this would be a good reference for you if you're just, there's a lot of acronyms and there's a lot of different grant programs and they all have a little bit of different, matching requirements or deadlines or things like that. And so this is kind of a reference to keep them all straight. The VDAX is a Virginia Farm Office of Farmland Preservation. The really good thing about this program is that it's not federal funds, so you can use it to match federal programs. And another plus about it is they're not looking to fund a specific project. They're looking to fund the easement authority. So you don't have to have something lined up, and you generally have, 2 years to spend the money. So it's seed money, so it's a good way to kind of get things rolling without having to have something totally lined up and know how much it's going to cost, and you've already gone through, board approvals. And another good thing about the money is it can help cover transaction costs, which would be appraisals or title work or surveys if they're necessary. They'll cover up to 50% of those as well. I think there's some restrictions on, how many appraisals they'll cover, with money or something, but.
Per county?
Per, grant cycle, it's like maybe 2 or 3 appraisals or something, but, you're probably, with the amount of money, you're gonna get, you're probably not gonna need more than what they would cover,
You heard Allison mention Kevin Schmidt. This is his office. They also farmland preservation. It's a really small state organization. He's pretty much it, I think, down there in that office. He's a guy. And he runs the whole thing.
Yeah.
So as far as state government goes, it's a small organization. And he was down there at that conference we were at. He was the one that was in season.
Yeah. And this one, again, this is where a lot of times, when the governor wants to put some money into land conservation, to farmland preservation, this is where it gets deposited. But as Allison mentioned, last year it was like 10,000. I think there wasn't any money the year before. So right now there's 1.2 million in the pot, and I would wager that next year there's probably not going to be any. I don't know.
I think they put in just enough to keep the office open.
Right. So it's kind of, if you wanna get in on this big pot right now, you have to have money by October. That's when the application is. Then you would have 2 years to spend it. They match 1-to-1. As Allison mentioned, they'll probably have about 100. Their estimates on how many people are going to apply, they're thinking up to maybe 120,000 per entity. What they do is they divvy it up equally, so they don't say, oh, we're going to give this county, since they have $500,000, we're going to give them more than the county who only has 100,000. They're very equitable, and they're like, okay, up to what you can match, we'll sort of divvy it up evenly. At least that's how they've done it in the past. I don't know if it's an official policy, but that's how they generally run it. And the best part about it is it can be matched with federal funds. And we've talked. The next one is the Farm and Ranch Land Protection Program. It's annual. It's federal money. They require a 25% cash match. The landowner can donate 25% of the cost.
Can or must?
Can. They don't have to, but they can.
We require it, but
that's
up to you.
Yeah.
And the issue with the VDAX, the state money, is that doesn't count. The landowner donation does not count towards that, is my understanding.
Right, they want to see
local
county,
dollars.
$1 from the county.
You heard me say skin in the game standing up there. That was the way they designed that program, was to force the locality to.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. And let's see, there's a few limits with farm and ranch land, restrictions that they require. It's the federal government, so there's some bureaucracy involved. But in general, it's pretty easy to get funding. It's consistent, every year it's opened up. If they don't spend it all in, the first round, they keep an open application like they have right now until they get all the money. Spent. You generally have like 18 months, 2 years to spend it once you allocate it. You apply for specific properties, but I believe, if, you know, that property doesn't work out, sometimes you can apply with backup properties, or you can, you know, transfer the money to another property. They really wanna see you.
And the other thing we've done is we had, like, now we have one farm we applied for the money for, and then he decided, well, I'm only gonna do half of what I thought I was gonna do. So then but we got the grant anyway, so I.
So you can use the money for something else.
Exactly, we
Yeah.
just put it in the amendment.
Once they give you the money, they want you to spend it, so, you know, they'll work with you as, they can, within the rules. The next program is the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation, which is VLCF. We've already talked about this as well, but this is another state grant program. Again, sometimes they have money, sometimes they don't. This year, they have money, and I believe applications are due like July 12th or something, so it's probably too late for, you know, Shenandoah
Well, I
County.
wouldn't say that, I mean, you need an applicant, of course,
Well, yeah,
but
if
if
you-
you, but I mean, talking with Sarah Richardson, who runs their program, it's kind of like they want to spend the money too, so if you have someone that's even interested and will consider being part of the process, even though the county hasn't appropriated money, you can put a caveat in there that says, well, you know, dependent on county funding and so on, but, you know, you can do the application, and if the funding
Right.
falls through, or you don't get the federal grant or whatever, then you say, sorry,
Yeah,
can't do
yeah.
it this year.
Yeah.
But,
But
if
if
you don't
the
get your
project's
foot in the
specific,
door, then you,
Yeah.
so,
But you gotta have somebody who, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
When we solicit, we actually send letters to landowners encouraging them, and we identify, and we said properties that would meet the farm range land farm soils requirement, and we've sent them all letters on a couple of different occasions saying, you know, this grant round's coming up, and if you're interested, please send in an application, and it's non-binding, and it doesn't cost them anything to apply, and we do get people that are interested. Sometimes they back out, but
So you can apply for the VLCF money without having local money
No.
appropriate.
well,
They want,
they want you to tell you.
they want you to have a match, but they're not as hard and fast about having it in hand. It's more competitive if you do have it in hand. But, you know, they have a bunch of different categories, and they want to fund, you know, at least one project in every category, and if, you know, in the farmland category, all they have are projects, you know, without match in hand, then they're gonna pick one of them. I mean, it's a lot more competitive than getting money through farm and range land or VDAX, but, I mean, I've gotten money out of them a couple times.
I think they want to work with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you accept landowner donation as a match for the VLCF? You can?
yeah, but I think it's more competitive if you have
Real money. But you could say something like, you know, we've applied, or we're planning to apply for farm and ranch land funds for,
Yeah.
you know, to pay for 30% of the grant, or 50%.
And that's not due until, you know, later in the year, so it's a very logical argument that you plan to apply. There are different dates for the application, so sometimes.
Is this staff intensive?
It takes some time, I mean, I find it takes time to get the application together, because you want to present, you know, you want to have pictures of the farm, and you want to flesh out what the conservation values of it are, and why is it important, and, I don't know, it's bad, and Kelly, you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's staff intensive, but, I mean, one thing that I think, at least from my experience working with the private land trust, is if the county, you know, is partnering with, you know, private land trust, chances are you could probably get them to do most of the work.
We'll just hook up the valve fills my John well.
But, I mean, you know, because they're used to doing, filling out all this, you know, paperwork and stuff, but. But, you know,
I think it takes about a week to do a good VLCF.
I would say that's
I mean,
and once you've done them, you kind of have a template and a feel for it, but.
Yeah, and actually with farm and ranch land, I mean, you give them one that's everything they want, and then you say, well, I submitted this before, we're an active applicant, and then you only have to flesh out the specifics of that farm the next time. You don't have to explain your whole program and how you qualify and how you, monitor and that kind of thing. It does get easier.
And they'll pay for up to 50% of the cost as well, of the project. Transportation enhancement is another one. It's a little harder and more time intensive as far as when you apply and when you actually get the money, and it's somewhat of a stretch, but conservation easements will qualify if it